What bread is that? Pizza.
Okay, I'm shuffling some things around. So today I'm going to finish chapter 23 instead of starting chapter 24. It's a really short lecture, it's 10 slides, and I'm just going to give you the HIV kind of WebQuest lab. The WebQuest probably won't be due till like Friday. So I'm going to do this. Tomorrow, hopefully, there are no disruptions. I'll lecture chapter 24. Thursday, chapter 25. No exam Friday. Exam will be Monday, so you get the weekend to do the review guide. So Friday will be kind of a catch-up day. Finish your lab, the HIV lab, if you didn't. I haven't seen Herman Veracross in forever. So you can take it before you leave. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so chapter 23 was about systematics and phylogenetic revolutions. We made cladograms. So, like, think back to cladograms, kind of like a family tree, phylogeny. How do species evolve? Well, I guess we didn't really talk about that process, but just looking at physical characteristics and creating cladograms. So this is kind of a continuation of that, talking about certain features, like homologous features, which means that they were derived from the same ancestral source. But then there's another type of feature that you need to know, homeoplastic features. In Biology 10, they were called analogous structures, which means that they do not come from the same ancestral source, but they have the same function.
So homologous means they come from the same source.
But they might do different things.
Yeah, I always get this mixed up.
Yep, it's, yeah.
Then
So,
homologous,
flipper of a dolphin to the leg of a horse. They have carpals. They have phalanges. They have radius. No, that's an arm. But well, yeah, radius and all that. Our arms to a cat. We have similar bones, but the ultimate function is different. I mean, our hands are tools. We can use it to grasp objects. Cats, they're killing machines. Claws. Homeoplastic. So they do not share the same ancestral source, but the functions are similar. So in this case, flight. The wings of birds to those of dragonflies or any type of insect, even bats, is slightly different. So they highlight purple showing analogous. There's that term analogous, which also means the same thing as homoplastic. Now, homologous doesn't just mean like structures. You can actually kind of look at behaviors in a way. So parental care in dinosaurs, crocodiles, and birds is considered homologous. And we know this from the fossil record. Fossils do indicate that parents did take care of their young. We can see eggs were, in a nest. Dinosaurs sitting on a nest, very similar to the same posture of birds. So parental care shown did not evolve convergently from different ancestors. In this case, they were derived. And so there's lots of evidence that support that birds, evolved from dinosaurs. We also have cases of homoplastic convergence, so analogous features found in different species. So we're going to look at saber-toothed tigers and plant conducting tubes called sieve tubes. But looking at canine teeth and saber teeth, basically, picture shown right here, occurred in a number of extinct carnivores. So large carnivore teeth, many different types of large mammals, but when we look at the evidence, they were not derived from each other. So they were convergently, they evolved independently at least 3 different times. The conducting tubes in plants, so sieve tubes are responsible for like moving sugars from one end of the plant to the other. And we have found sieve tubes in tracheophytes and brown algae, and these guys are really, really distantly related. When we talk about plants, I'll walk you through all the groups of plants, and you'll have to memorize them. But brown algae is on like this end of the cladogram tree, and tracheophytes are on this end. I mean, they are very distantly related, yet they still have similar features within them. Okay, complex features evolve through a sequence of evolutionary changes. A lot of times it's built up step by step. So like the horse, I told you the story about the horse, how it was like small, almost dog-like shape, lived kind of more in a forested jungle region, and then as its environment changed to more open grasslands, their legs elongated, toes numbers were reduced, teeth started to change, became flatter to adapt to its environment. And so we can trace the history of a horse. Same thing with the elephant. Okay, these are artist renditions of what they might have looked like based on fossils. Here you can see the mastodon and the woolly mammoth are no longer present, so like the line stops. These guys are all extinct, but we still have two lineages of elephants today: the Asian elephant and the African elephant. We can also use phylogenetics to study diseases, which is what your web quest will be about with HIV and AIDS. HIV was evolved from a simian viral counterpart. Simian means ape or chimpanzee. Okay, so this virus was found in chimpanzees and monkeys, and then it made the jump to humans. So AIDS were recognized in the early 1980s. No one knew exactly how it came about. How does it affect humans? Like, it scared people. So then in the mid-1980s, labs discovered that the virus came from SIV, SIV, or simian immunodeficiency virus, and that these two are actually very similar. So here's SIV. This is what it looks like. So it targets Cd4 T-Cells in chimpanzees as well as in humans, but it is slightly different. So we do have some slight differences. This is a family tree, or kind of a diagram just showing SIV and all the different versions of it, but then some groups have made the jump to humans. Okay? So there's different strands of HIV out there from different animals or species of monkeys. So using phylogenetic analysis, we can actually figure out how did HIV evolve, and you're going to look at that today. But it descended from SIV. Okay. We've tested HIV strands, and they're all nestled very closely within the clades of SIV, so therefore HIV is derived from SIV. Another clear finding is that human strands are more closely related to a strand of SIV than any other HIV strands, so indicates separate origins. There are different origins of HIV, so I think there's like 3 or 4 different strands out there, and they kind of all came about in different groups of the SIV clade. And then finally, humans have acquired HIV from different host species. So I like this diagram. It's way more clear, but it has all the different species and then the jump to humans. So somewhere along here, we made the jump to humans. So 1, 2, 3, 4 strands of HIV. Okay, so then how does it make the jump from primates to humans? Blood-to-blood contact. So people hunt. They ate monkeys, they butchered monkeys and apes, and so somewhere along the line, they made the jump into humans and then adapted to humans. HIV strands are obviously more diverse in Africa because that's where it originated. So then they're like, how long has HIV been around? Well, they studied old blood samples that they came across, and some of these blood samples were from the 1950s and 40s, but they think it's been around before 1940. So it's kind of weird how we've been living with this disease and no one really recognized it until the 1950s. So we're still trying to pinpoint it exactly, but I don't think we'll ever be able to. All right, ignore that. So your assignment is this web quest, and all the websites work. I tested it over our polar vortex break. And they're just like quick, short little responses. So you're going to need an iPad or a device that can access the internet. And like I said, this will be due Friday, like at the end of class on Friday, because Friday will be that catch-up day if you need it. I don't know exactly how long chapter 24 and 25 will take for lectures, but yeah. So the rest of the time is yours. You have until 11 before we move on to period 2.